We are now back at a point where most people in crypto are coming back out of hibernation. After hunkering down for the entire bear market where things were boring and nothing was happening, finally, we are at a point where things are happening. And what's very likely to occur is that most of you are going to forget about the basics of trading. This is very likely because we've all forgotten at this point probably. So I want to make this video as a reminder that a master is a master at the basics, first of all, right? A expert trader is not above the basics. The point is a master trader or investor does the basics with their eyes closed and in their sleep. That's what a master really is a master of the basics. And then you go further. So I just want to remind you that nobody's too good for the basics. Okay, so Bitcoin is now up on the daily chart. We are trading just below 35,000. It's possible that we're about to break into a new yearly high. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering, what do I do? You know, some people probably don't have enough exposure. Some people are probably just coming back to crypto after having forgotten about it for the past 2 years, and they want to know what to do. I want to cover a couple key points about trading, getting your entries, and what the right approach could be for you. I'm not a financial advisor. These are just ideas and education and entertainment. Before we get into all of that, I want to quickly go over a couple things that I posted on Twitter yesterday, one of them being the cycle bottom to halving, and we are actually perfectly on track. Whenever we have a cycle bottom, we're just under 80 weeks away from the halving. That's how it was in 2015. 2018, cycle bottom, 74 weeks from the halving. 2022, November, cycle bottom, 72 weeks away from the halving. Okay, we're on track. Bitcoin's actually very much on track, almost as it always has done before. Nothing's really all that different in terms of cycle bottom to halving timing. So that's cool to see. We're on track. Sorry to all those waiting for 10K. Now, let me move on to this. This is the fib extension targets, just an idea. And this is something I've been talking about all year. When you use your fib extensions from the FTX collapse zone, when you fib from the FTX collapse high to the FTX collapse low, what ends up happening is you get this magical thing that takes place where every high lines up exactly with where the fib lines are, where all the fib nodes seem to be the targets, right? The fib extensions. So that's pretty interesting. Is it possible that the next target is 37,200? It could be. Maybe we even go as high as 40,800 at the 4236, maybe. But before you FOMO, I want to remind you of a couple things that are important when it comes to getting entries in the market. Because I know a lot of people right now are probably wondering, what do I do? And so I want to really quick just talk about one. So here's the first important thing to remember is that if you believe in crypto, then you should have exposure to crypto. So having a long-term portfolio is important because if you wake up tomorrow and Bitcoin's at 60,000, well, you got exposure. You're good. Now, the second thing to have is a trading portfolio or a cash position that is ready for entries. So long-term portfolio, just holding, and then a trading/cash position for entries. And so without going too detailed and too extensive into an explanation, something that I think is important to remember is that it's not necessarily about getting in at the lowest price possible. That's not necessarily what's important. What's more important is the position that you're in, is the entry point. The timing is important as well, but sort of just the position based on certain indicators. And what I mean by that is, if we go to Bitcoin here, what you can see about Bitcoin right now on the daily chart is that we are in the overbought zone, right? So Bitcoin is sitting way in the overbought zone. Now, the last time we were in the overbought zone, Bitcoin actually ended up trending up from that overbought point, but then came back. I want to show you guys an interesting point in the last bull market, which was right as we entered the major uptrend where we ended up breaking the all-time high. Right here, where Bitcoin starts moving up, this is October going into the end of the year of 2020. Look at the RSI. Bitcoin enters the overbought zone on the daily RSI. Right here, look at this. Let me drop a vertical line. Bitcoin's overbought right there. And the price is only 13,000 and ends up going to new all-time highs and well past that. Now, at this point, yes, you could have just aped in right here and just prayed that it worked out. And so maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. I mean, that's not necessarily like a strategy. So if you're looking for a strategy, what you would do to determine the right entry point and to determine if the trend still has momentum in the overbought zone is by looking at the overbought 70 level. Bitcoin hits the overbought zone here and continues. Now, somebody that is being strategic and wants to actually stick to real indicators and real entry points based on tangible things, not just praying, they look at the RSI and they say, okay, when we come back to the 70 level, if there's support here at that point, I'm going to get an entry at that 70 level. And if we bounce off that, that means we have a lot of momentum because now we're going to be bouncing off the 70 level, the overbought zone, getting like epic momentum. When you do that, there's a lot of momentum in that, guys, right? So like even here, we came right around that 70 level and bounced again, and there's just crazy momentum. So that 70 level could be a zone of entry. And if you did buy there, you're buying based on an indicator and where the support is coming in. And that's more strategic than just aping in down here, right? It makes more sense to wait for that 70 level retest and then enter there. Because, maybe it didn't work out here. Like, who knows? So going over to where we are now, let's go over to where we are now, guys. What we're looking for now would be a retest of the 70 level. And if we bounce off that, you could be using that for entries on longs, right? So let's say Bitcoin actually ends up going higher from here. And you're like, oh no, I missed it, right? Well, if you wait for that 70 level retest, maybe you actually get a slightly better entry before the next leg up. And then you wait for that move down, long on the 70 level. Then you get a lot of momentum there. If we hold 70, you got a nice entry. Your timing is better. Your position is better because you're actually longing based on the technicals and you're getting in at the right spot rather than just praying, right? So even if, let's say Bitcoin, this is kind of the point I wanted to make earlier. Even if Bitcoin, let's say, runs all the way up to like 42 from here, just for instance, and then comes back and retests like 36, and then you long there upon that retest of the 70 level. Okay, you didn't get in at this price, which was like, slightly lower, but your position is technically better because you're longing alongside the indicators at the right time, and you know that you're probably going to get that momentum and you have confirmations and it's actually based on something, right? So just a couple basic things to remember, that you want to be waiting for certain things to show up. And a lot of times when you think that you missed it, you probably didn't. Like, for instance, look at 2023. A lot of people that missed this breakout right here probably thought, oh no, I missed it, let me ape in. Well, you ended up going way lower. The people that saw this breakout and thought, oh no, I missed the breakout, let me ape in. Well, you ended up retesting that breakout zone, right? So, this kind of just continues on and on. So the people that thought recently, oh, I missed it. Well, maybe you did. Maybe you won't get that exact price again. Maybe you will. But instead of just aping in like, oh no, let me ape in, let me just wait for that confirmation of whatever indicator you're using to confirm that the momentum is actually there. And sure, the price level may not be better. The entry price may not be as low, but the position is technically better, stronger, right? And the timing is likely going to be better. So you see what I mean? I just wanted to quickly run through some of these things. This is technically not the basics. It's a little bit above the basics, but it's close enough. So just wanted to give you guys a few reminders about, conduct, trading conduct, how to conduct yourself, and it takes a lot of discipline. We all make mistakes. We all ape in at the wrong time sometimes, but there are things you can do to adjust, right? And this bull market, if it has started, is really just the beginning. We're only at 34,000 right now. I mean, we're like a double away from the all-time high, and who knows how high Bitcoin's going to go. So you got a lot of time, but just remember you have a lot of time. I mean, there's going to be things take time. But there's things you can do to, adjust, do better, and also just remind yourself of the basics, because again, a master is good at the basics. A master is the best at the basics. That's why they're a master. There you go. Anyway, subscribe if you like this kind of information, and also join the Patreon if you guys want to support this channel and see what else I'm doing. We're going to be starting a portfolio from the ground up that you guys can track. So that's going to be starting soon. So if that's something you're interested in, join the Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video.